Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I want to talk about this up-and-coming solar eclipse and how it's going to affect all of us according to our ascendant sign or your moon sign. But before I proceed, you must figure out what your sidereal Vedic moon or ascendant rising sign is. The rising is the ascendant sign. So you can go to my website, which is galacticcenter.org, and go to my free chart calculator. But remember to scroll all the way to the bottom because it will tell you exactly what your AS is, that means your ascendant, and what your moon sign is. Don't try to read the Vedic charts at the top. Unless you know Vedic astrology, you will not read them correctly. I've had this happen time and time again, but it's just that it's very different. So go to the bottom, it will tell you clearly AS, what sign it is, and your moon, what sign it is. And these are the two signs I want you to listen to. Now, this solar eclipse is happening sidereally at 16 degrees of Aries. So we're going to start with the sign of Aries and what it's going to bring you if your moon or your rising sign's in Aries. But before I start, I always want to remind everyone that while you're there on my website, sign up for my free newsletter and get all of my predictions delivered to your email address for free. And while you're there, you can check out my beautiful jewelry and all the new classes I have. So with that, let's start with, if you have a rising, ascendant, or moon in Aries, how will this eclipse affect you? Well, the eclipse is going to be happening in your first house. So what does this mean? It means that your life's about to change. Everything about your life, its course, its direction, it's going to be different. You feel different. You feel like very expansive and you want new change. You want something different in your life. That's what this is going to bring. But of course, this means that K2 and the eclipse that happens in October will be in your 7th house. So this is really about finding your own independence at this time, but be careful that it doesn't affect or hurt your relationship. And I think that this could be the result, because K2 transiting through the 7th will cause relationship issues. So whatever has not been addressed, it will come out. Plus, another thing is, if you are looking for a relationship at this time and you're not in one, then K2 transiting through the 7th house many times can bring back somebody from the past. And maybe it's not from this past, it could even be from a past life. So it's a connection to those in the past. So if your ascendant or moon sign sit in the sign of Taurus, then this means that Rahu is in your 2nd house. Rahu is in your 12th house, excuse me. And what that means for you, it's a time to finish up old things. The eclipses are happening in your 12th house, and people from your past will be coming up. And those are going to be the people that you're dealing with. There's going to be people from the past and overcoming things that have bothered you, old resentments and feelings. And this is a very healing time. Now, this also means that K2 is in your 6th house, which means you're going to be working more on your health. Health and healing are going to be what are important to you during this time. And even issues around work. You're going to find that maybe there's sometimes things in the workplace, you're not getting along with the people, or maybe your employees quit when you need them the most. This is going to be a changeover in the area of health. Get ready, you've got to get healthier, and changeover in the workplace. Okay. But at the same time, the 12th house could, with the eclipses happening in your 12th house, you could be prompted to travel. But I suggest don't travel too much to foreign places because there's so much going on in the eclipse energy this year. So take that to a minimum. Now, if your ascendant, rising sign, or moon sign sit in Gemini, then this means Rahu is in your 11th and Ketu's in your 5th. So Rahu in the 11th house means you're going to be meeting a lot of very influential people. New friends, new associates, but high-minded, well-known, very intelligent, influential people. New group of friends, new group of acquaintances and people come into your life. Plus, it's a time of great gains with Rahu in the 11th. And if you have an older sibling, they may become more troublesome than normal. With Ketu in your 5th, or the eclipse happening in the 5th, there's some changes happening in the area of children. Maybe they're getting married or leaving the house, something to that event. And if you want to have children, you'll be really wanting to have them. But be careful, Ketu in the 5th could cause some problems getting pregnant or not having kids. Just not being able to get pregnant. But Ketu in the 5th can also give you great creative ideas. Be open and aware of that. Open your heart and be creative. If your moon or your ascendant sits in the sign of Cancer, then this means that Rahu's in the 10th and Ketu's in the 4th. This is a time of opportunities with work and career. You're going to really soar. There's going to be some amazing, influential people. Your boss will really be drawn to you and give you great benefits and opportunities and maybe even promotions. Or you become a boss. You may decide to have your own business and run your own thing. That would be Rahu in the 10th. But I'm telling you, Ketu in the 4th, 9 times out of 10, there is a move, a change of residence. There can be some moves. And another thing, Ketu in the 4th could mean there could be some problems with your mother. So be aware of that. Take care of that. Family issues come first. So if you have Leo rising or Leo moon, then this means that Rahu's in your 9th and Ketu is in your 3rd. Rahu in your 9th house could bring you many travels and journeys and maybe going back to school, learning all sorts of new information, taking higher-minded classes. Your whole belief systems are changing with eclipses happening in your 9th house. Another thing is with Ketu being in the 3rd, you are learning very unusual things, but you may find that you're not as connected to your brothers and sisters. Maybe there's a distance or an argument, or maybe they just move away. Something about siblings you'll feel a sense of loss, or something's just not whole or complete. But it will be a time that you will travel during this time around these eclipses. So if you have your moon or rising in Virgo, then this means that these eclipses are happening in your 8th house, and this means this is a year of major changes. The 8th house, above all else, rules change. And Rahu being there, it could be very difficult changes that you're having to endure or go through. And Ketu being in the 2nd house, it might be a time that you need to pull back financially because money is definitely going to be a little tighter. And the way that you make money could change and be totally different. And I'll tell you something else. There could be some problems going on with the family in the home. So be aware of that. Now, if your ascendant or your moon sign sits in Libra, with Rahu or the eclipses, remember wherever Rahu or Ketu are is where the eclipses are. In your 7th house, Rahu in the 7th house means there's going to be some problems in relationships. You've got to start looking deeper as to how to heal them, not avoid them. It is a time where you take charge in order to make sure your relationships are working out well during this time, the way you connect to people. And if you're in a business partnership, it's time to really come together and make it work. because it can be very successful. It's just that there are some issues that need to be addressed. So K2 being in the first house, you don't feel connected to the world. You feel like escaping. You just feel like nothing in this world attracts you. And it can also mean that there can be a change in where you're living, your address, but it also means there's this inner quest for spirituality. And it takes you away from your relationships because you're really delving deeper into what's going on within you. If your rising or your moon sign sits in Scorpio, then this means Rahu is in your 6th house. And this means that you're really wanting to get healthy. You're putting together a lot of new ways of health and healing, exercise, changing old habits. But at the same time, it's kind of hard. Rahu can be a little obsessive compulsive about things. And in the 6th house, this could mean obsessed with food or diet or nutrition, but this could be a good thing. Or it could be a difficult thing because sometimes Rahu could cause sickness, but it means you'll get over it and it'll get you into health and healing. And if you have employees, look out, they could be a problem. And furthermore, the employees may quit on you when you need them the most, or coworkers are more difficult to get along with. But K2 being in the 12th house, pay attention to your dreams. Dreams are more vivid. You're coming up with more information. It's profound. It's deep. What you're dreaming, what is going on in your psyche. You're very intuitive. You're very psychic during this time. Listen to what's coming. Also, someone from your past may reappear, and it's time for you to get together and maybe let go of any of the grievances that you might have had with people from your past. But pay attention, the dreams may reveal everything that you know about this. So if you have a rising sign or moon in Sagittarius, then this means that the eclipses or Rahu is in your 5th house right now, and K2's in the 11th. And with this tells me that you might really be desiring to have children, but it's difficult. Your job, your career, everything's preventing it on some level. But at the same time, you can be very obsessive compulsive with your mind during this time. You get on these ideas and you can't stop. But you could be very, very creative. It's time to use that creative talent, move forward. And it's a good time to invest. You could be very, very successful with Rahu in your 5th house and the eclipses. This is a major change. You might just start doing some new investments, maybe cryptocurrency. Now would be the time. But K2 in the 11th house, you really need to change your friends. They have been draining you for so long, and you have changed. So you need a whole different group of acquaintances and friends. And that's going to be interesting. My dog is really excited this whole video, as you can see. But K2 being in the 11th house can also mean some losses concerning the older sibling, so be aware of that. The older sibling needs help, or maybe they just move away and you're not close to them anymore. That could be it as well. So if you have your moon or your rising sign in Capricorn, Rahu's in the 4th and K2 is in the 10th house. So this means that you're probably going to change careers, and you could move as well, just as the Cancer rising with K2 in the 4th house will probably move and have a career change. So will the Capricorn rising have a big change in their home, family. Major eclipses are happening in the 4th house. This is big for family, and changes happening with your mother. And career, you're just not interested in doing what you've been doing before. You want to change your work, and you probably will. So if your rising or your moon sign is in Aquarius, this means Rahu's in your 3rd, And K2's in your 9th. And this means changes with school, education, learning, or you're going to take new classes, or you want to go on that trip. Probably it's a short distance trip by car. You'll be traveling. And there may be a disconnect with one of your brothers or sisters, or maybe you get closer to them, but then you realize there's things that need to be worked out with a brother or sister. But with K2 in the 9th house, there can be, this is spiritual. This is spirituality. You're looking at your life from a whole different vantage point in terms of your beliefs and your spirituality. But at the same time, your father, if your father is still alive, there can be some major issues and problems with the father. And another thing is, I was thinking about how Leo rising or moon has Rahu in the 9th house, which could mean some issues come up concerning their father. But K2 in the 9th house, now even if your father's not alive, there will be things from the past come up that remind you of your father. Memories or information, it will come up. You'll think more about your father, for good or bad. But the 9th house can mean that the father's health and his will is declining. So last but not least, if your rising sign or moon sign sits in Pisces, then this means that the eclipse or Rahu is happening in your 2nd house. And this will be a change in your financial status. You will come into more money. And another thing is, it will be pretty dramatic events happening around the home and with the family. This is a major change because this throws K2 in your 8th house. And this does mean change with your financial situation, especially money that you share with other people. This is more or less that if you're coming into an inheritance, there could be some problems with this inheritance or the money that you share with others. And this can actually represent your husband or your spouse's spending at this time that you're not in agreement with. So really the whole area of money is going through a transformational change for you, for good and bad. The money that you earn is on the upswing, but the money that you share with others is difficult. And at the same time, be aware that there's some issues going on within the family. Pay attention to that. And even your relationship, because the 2nd house can be referred to as the 8th house from the 7th. So it affects family matters and relationship issues. So this is going to be what you're going to be working on. And remember, it's time to use your voice. It's time for you to speak out for what you believe. It is okay. So with that, I'd like to close. If you would like more information on me or learning Vedic astrology, go to my website, which is galacticcenter.org. And if you would like to study Vedic astrology with me, go to my university website, which is University of Vedic Astrology.com. Thank you.